What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So we have to talk about the best player on our team and potentially finding a way to keep him around in Quinnen Williams. He's had some recent stuff going on. We know it's a contract year for him. We know he had the recent spat with defensive line position coach Aaron Whitecotton, which seemed like it was smoothed over. Everybody is essentially saying it was a heat of the moment thing regarding Quinnen wanting them to do a four-man rush versus the all-out blitz that resulted in probably the game-breaking touchdown. But irregardless of all that, when it comes to Quinnen Williams and potentially how effective he can be in this defense and how he's being utilized, something Jeff Ulbrich mentioned is coming back to kind of bite us in the rear. So with this defensive line rotation, a lot of the success behind it was mentioned that they've seen it used in, San Francisco. And you can argue that the talent there from top to bottom may have potentially been a lot better. But regardless of that, the conversation around it was that it keeps everybody fresh so that on critical plays, downs, and just if the game ends up being prolonged in overtime and things for whatever reason, you have guys that are a lot fresher. That has not aged well because we've only had, I want to say it's 5 sacks now in 3 games. We're still in the bottom of the league. It's not like we're excelling in pressure rate per se. And so when you look at it and you look at our star guy on arguably on the entire team, both offensively and defensively, and I have some stuff to back that up, it questions why we aren't using some of these guys more. Instead, and for comparison's sake, we have Quinnen Williams, who's playing about 40 snaps per game. Essentially, what this means is when he's out, we're bringing in Nathan Shepard because generally we're playing Sheldon Rankins, Solomon Thomas, and for whatever reason, not really JFM whenever Quinnen Williams is coming out. Now, over the course of a full season, this means that Quinnen Williams is going to miss the equivalent of about 4 games, 4 entire NFL games, with the pace that he's currently on, in lieu of rotating for Nathan Shepard, who everybody is still questioning why he's around. He's done nothing of substance statistically to prove why he's made this team and why we don't even elevate somebody like Bryce Huff, who maybe can give our pass rush a little bit of juice. Aside from that, we're barely playing Quinnen Williams, at least to a higher degree than what most teams and their star players are doing. But we will provide somebody who's been destroying us on the back end, and LaMarcus Joyner playing 100% of the snaps. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and it's part of the questions that we're getting about Jeff Ulbrich being fired and potentially Robert Saleh for not stepping in and trying to save this defense when this is his specialty. So Quinnen Williams statistically is our best player. PFF has him ranked as a 82.7, which is the best score on offense or defense for our team. Based on a lot of these numbers, he ranks top 8 among all defensive tackles in the NFL, but he's 36th in snaps. So that means that only 6 other teams play their top defensive tackle less than Quinnen Williams. And that is hard to kind of wrap your head around. Literally, he's not even in starting territory, essentially, in snap count. So when you take a look at these numbers, you say 40 snaps per game, we're seeing about a third of the game snaps go to Nathan Shepard instead of Quinnen Williams. And you see that over the course of a full season, he's going to miss an entirety of 4 games worth of potential production. You have to imagine that while the contract was not a huge concern for him, when that conversation does come up, it's almost like the Jets have been hindering him, or Jeff Ulbrich, Robert Saleh, whoever officially wants to say that they're calling the shots here. They're limiting his production in lieu of what Jeff Ulbrich says is making sure that, and I'm paraphrasing here, Quinnen Williams can essentially catch his breath, because according to Ulbrich, when he's looking at the sideline and he sees Quinnen Williams gasping for air, that's a sign to him that he needs to go ahead and give him a quarter's worth of plays off. And obviously this isn't all at one time, but it's a little bit difficult. You want your top guys out on the field no matter what. And yes, they need breaks and breathers and all of these great things. But, I mean, if the Titans can find a way to, and I can't remember the wide receiver's name right now, but their top draft pick had asthma and was passing out essentially or close to it during training camp and mini camp practices at that time, I believe. And it's just a very difficult situation to really imagine. But I'm concerned about the contract talks because he's missing 4 games worth of production essentially, which means in 2021 he was looking like a guy that took a step back, but was still one of the top, let's say 15 at least, with how he took a step back tackles in the NFL. When you look at his lack of production due to these lack of snaps, he realistically could have been near the top 5 in a lot of the important categories in terms of pressure rate, sacks, tackles for losses. So you have to imagine he's also a little bit concerned that this tactic or tendency that Ulbrich has to want to rotate him out so much is going to impact his ability to say he's a top-notch defensive tackle in the NFL. Arguably this season, top 3, and yet he's being taken out, and that can damage how much he could potentially earn on a maximum end for us. And I think we can all agree at this point in time, based on what he's shown, that he's not only deserved a contract, but when's the last time we really signed one of our first picks to a secondary contract? Because I can't remember anybody since. Yeah, I mean, what, Calvin Pryor, D. Milliner, Darren Lee, we never got a chance to. Jamal Adams leaves. There's a long list of names. So Sam Darnold, the list is crazy, to be honest. So we need to finally start rewarding some of these guys that are showing out for us, and we are adding so much supplementary talent to help them out. It really is pretty crazy. I mean, even when you break it down a little bit further, he's missing about 24 snaps per game. That's basically 2 entire drives based on what I was able to find out that he's missing from the field. And if we at least had somebody who is showing that they can excel or impact the game in any meaningful way. I mean, Nathan Shepard literally almost has nothing on the stat sheet to show for the amount of snaps that he's been getting. It's pretty painful. So, this is my justification for it. I do think there needs to be a serious conversation between Robert Saleh potentially taking over this defense and putting Jeff Ulbrich in maybe some kind of high-level positional coach role or something like that, where he can just focus on developing these linebackers or these safeties. And, there's a serious conversation where maybe by the bye week he does need to be fired. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Does Jeff Ulbrich need to go like yesterday? Or would you be satisfied with Robert Saleh just taking over the defensive play calling and stepping up on that side of things, even though it may take away from some other areas in order to make sure our team is having a balanced effort out on the field? But let me know what your guys' thoughts are, and I'll catch you again. Peace.